get that question a lot, but I've also written from, male perspectives and from the perspective of a woman who's 90. So, I think that if as a writer you can't kind of imaginatively extend yourself into other people, then you should probably find a different job. And it is interesting. I think the danger is not so much that I can't connect with that audience, it's whether at a certain point you stop kind of caring or wanting to. But I think that for me, I've found, since I do all three now, I've written for adults, for children, and for teens, that you get to explore kind of different themes, and also that sometimes you get to explore the same themes, but in very different ways. Yeah, it is. That's a really interesting and tricky thing, because on the one hand, you do, of course, want to connect to your audience, and that's increasingly, honestly, not only just expected of authors, but in order to have a sustained long career that flourishes, you need to do that as an author. At the same time, authors are by nature like misanthropic, miserable, solitary creatures. But also you do need to also have time to write. You writers, certainly if I have free time, even if I have 5 minutes, I want to think about and be grappling with problems with my book. I don't want to necessarily be tweeting. So I think it's a really delicate balance, and you definitely see people who go far on one side or the other. I try to connect with my fans as much as I can, and I try to also be very clear about preserving space where I'm not online and where I can't be reached and where I'm writing. Well, Vanishing Girls was kind of interesting because I tried to write it several years ago, really before I Fall. It was the next book I tried to write, and I couldn't kind of find the story. There are definitely dark things that happen in Vanishing Girls. My father writes books about serial killers, so also on a scale, I think I write very light and happy books. Which again probably explains a lot about me and all the things I've written. But so they are, Nick over the course of the book has to come into contact with kind of a seedy underworld, not an unrealistic one, not one that doesn't actually exist, and infiltrate teen life now, especially that so much interaction happens online. But that's definitely in it. Although I think the creepiest thing about the book is I really love creepy amusement parks, and it's set in a creepy amusement park. Yeah, I think that readers need to be a little bit better at understanding that the goal of an adaptation is not to reproduce with complete faithfulness the book itself, but to generate a new piece of art that is based off of that book. And the two can look very similar. It can look like, Harry Potter or whatever, where they tried to stick really closely to the original, although again, they had to omit many, many things often. But it doesn't necessarily have to, and some amazing adaptations do have to kind of depart. It's just like translation. Sometimes for the best translation, the one that remains faithful to the tone and feel of the book, it ends up again really kind of having to depart from the grammatical structure of the original or whatever.